Hello everyone, welcome back. Now we are going to be looking at the web application directory structure. In the previous video, we've already looked at what the web application is about, so we just proceed. In this video, we'll use the example of a Java web application structure. I chose this example because Java is a versatile programming language and it's popular in the enterprise development environment. So before we can run our Java web application, we need to package the resources inside it in a standardized way. In this package, we have the following components. We have static containers like HTML. We have client-side files like CSS and JavaScript. The Java server pages, that's JSP, to generate dynamic content. We have servlets, external libraries for Java files, any other Java utility classes, and the web.xml, also known as a deployment descriptor. So let's have a good look at this diagram and see if we can understand better what this web application directory structure is actually about. Looking at this diagram, we see that we have all our files placed in the MyWay app. You see that this is a MyWay app and everything is placed in it. MyWay app is actually the root directory. It could have any name you want to give it, any name of your choice, the name of the application you want to run, any name you actually give it. In this root directory, this is where we put all the files that should be accessible in our web application. So if there are any subdirectories created in the root directory which has its own files, the files will be available by the subdirectory file path in the web application. The next thing we can see is the web.inf, which is directly below the MyWay app. That is the first thing we can see in the root directory. The files which are stored here are not supposed to be accessible from a browser. This directory is a meta information directory. In this directory, as we can see, there are two other directories and a file which we call the web.xml. I'll begin with this web.xml. The web.xml file contains information about the web application, which is used by the Java web server. For instance, it has information about the servlet. It has information about the servlet a web application should deploy and what URLs they should be mapped to. Remember, we call the web XML as the deployment descriptor, so no doubt it's in charge of mapping like what servlets a web application should to deploy. Now we've also spoken about servlets. Servlets are actually the building blocks for every Java web application. Like servlet is a server-side technology which extends the capability of web servers by providing dynamic response. Okay, so we'll look at the other subdirectories. We have the class directory, the classes directory. It contains all compiled Java classes that are part of our web application. While this lib, that's a short for library, it contains all the Java files which are used by our web application. So we can see again in this MyWay app that we just spoke about the web.inf and its own directories. So now we have other directories under the MyWay app. Let's look at the index.html. This is a file in the root directory, and mind you, the name should always be index.html. You cannot give it any other name like you give to the root directory, lest your application will not run smoothly. It will not run as it's supposed to. So it's a fixed name given to this file. And then we have other directories. Now these other directories depends on the application you're building. It depends on the application, how you want it to run, so you know what you add, what you will not add. That is up to you and your application, your web application which you're developing.